I saw a bus driver edging. I saw it.
The bus wasn't running.
It was at the.
He was bussing.
The passengers were
Was he bussing?
The passengers were covering their eyes.
He was sorry, while bussing, he was edging. Hello, and welcome back to the Cars Rule Everything Around Me podcast, episode number 35, with myself, Edwin, Will to my left, and back by popular demand, Ben behind the camera. He was away last week at a seminar on not blocking doctors.
Wonderful.
Has it
Glad
worked?
that's in the first 5 seconds of the podcast.
At the beginning of every podcast, we answer the question, if cars rule or ruin everything around us. William, would you like to start?
Just going to go with a rule.
Yeah.
You know the rule, got some new wheels and tyres for the Range Rover, and the Megane has had a couple of extra modifications and is now running better than ever. No reason to ruin.
Lovely.
Simple. Out.
Simple done. Benjamin?
Big rule for me.
Oh,
I drove the X5 many, many miles, and that's about it.
Oh,
But it loved it, and it was
And
great.
it's fine?
Yep.
You went to a wedding, right?
I went to a wedding in West Wales. Shout out to all the creamers out there.
All of the Welsh creamers?
Welsh creamers, yeah. It's very pretty. Some of the nicest roads. And I'm not even talking necessarily about the design of the roads. I'm talking the quality of the roads.
I'm talking the asphalt depth.
No.
You know.
I had to take my brother to the train station about midway
French
through the
exams,
day.
we like.
And I drove to Haverfordwest, which if you're from West Wales, you'll know. If not, a map might help. And the road to there was the most open, winding, most beautiful thing. I was in the X5 and I felt like I was in a Ferrari. It was unbelievable. Truly, I was in shock. And my girlfriend was sat next to me going, and all she could hear was me going, wow, that's amazing.
Just chuck it in here to the apex.
Did you bung it in Sport?
No.
You didn't bung
crazy.
it in S.
No.
You didn't bung it in S and
I'm
just
all about
really clip this apex here. You're going to go hard on the brakes.
No, but it's truly a wonderful road. And I don't know what it was called, don't know where it was, but
It was called Wales.
that's the one. Yeah, the big road called Wales.
Just
But
left of England.
genuinely, I think it's because no one lives there. And that's why,
I think there's some people.
there's a few, but like, it's a
Otherwise,
very,
there wouldn't be a wedding there.
well, I don't live there, do I?
Oh, fair.
Yeah.
But also, you did miss Richard Porter for that.
Yeah, that was tough.
That's
That was
crazy.
tough, yeah,
You
that was
decided. Also, mega shout out to Rich Porter. Thank you very much for coming on the podcast
Yeah.
again.
He has to come back.
We thought he was here by proxy. We thought one of you had informed Richard Porter. No, Richard Porter listens to the podcast.
Yeah.
Which is, apologies, Richard, all of the stuff you've had to sit through. But thank you very much for coming. We're glad Ben wasn't here for it.
Yep. Wonderful.
No, we actually would have. Wow, crazy one. Also, a quick update from Richard Porter.
Yeah.
You might remember on the last podcast. I'm sure that podcast hasn't gone out yet. I'm sure there were lots of comments going, oh, I know what that car was that you couldn't remember. We have confirmation. The email, we had a quite cordial back and forth going on with Rich Porter saying like, could you come to the unit at this time? Yeah, sure, I'll be there at this time. And then we got an email the next morning in all caps that said,
Oh my God, I found it. I can sleep again. This is the mystery SUV I've seen around Bath. And it is a KGM Motors Torres.
that's a football player, is it not?
Yes.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah, retired
Torres! Incredible. So also,
and you know what his description?
The description was bang on. It was a Jeep-looking front end with a weird little silver blade behind it in an odd green colour. So
I now feel like I've seen this.
Yeah, same. I'm 100% sure I've seen
I opened this website earlier and went,
I went, obviously that's it.
Idiot.
Obviously that's the, hold on, what's that? AGM.
Interesting. Torres with
I've actually got a photo. Here we go. I forgot. We've got the screen, the display.
What is that?
For those
look at those. Do you know what? I haven't seen the rear of this before. That is the biggest knockoff of an L405 rear light I've ever seen.
I've seen these. I thought that was a Jeep.
No, well, there you go, Ben. That was Richard. Wow, you haven't listened to the podcast that's not out yet, and you couldn't have listened.
I haven't had the option to.
Ben only listens to podcasts he's in.
Just to vet them.
So yes, it is solved.
Why is that person just?
She's yogaing. She's doing, which is what you do when you own a KGM Torres.
You know when dogs turn away from you to show their trust? It's like that.
She trusts in the KGM Torres. So yes, thank you very much, Richard Porter. We'll see you again soon, hopefully. And maybe we'll get Johnny Smith on too to talk about Max Power.
Once again, we have got a sponsor for this podcast that we are really excited about.
Mr. President, there has been a second VAC sponsor.
There has been a second VAC sponsorship. VAX have sponsored this podcast, and we're just over the moon because it's genuinely a product all of us have used, Ben especially, on your very, very brown, stinky car.
Yep, and it made it very less brown inside.
Precisely.
After the last time we talked about it, I actually remembered back when at previous unnamed job, there was a Golf wagon that was taken to the South Coast and North Coast 500. After the first trip, it was left in, Ben, would you describe it as a swamp, maybe for 6 months?
Truly never seen a car so mouldy in my life.
And it got the vax. We vaxed the hell out of it, and somehow Alex managed to drive that car for the rest of the South Coast 500 trip, and it was fine, and he didn't get sick. So that's enough endorsement that you can get.
It's meant to kill 99.9% of bacteria, which is a good percentage, I think.
You know, it's most of it.
I'd say that is pretty good. We also remembered that the XFR, the green one, which is now back actually, we managed to leave part of the rear carpet in the boot out in the rain, and it's been absolute hell for the last couple of days. And we used that, which is the clips you're seeing on the screen, and we used the Spot Wash Max Pet design, which is what they've sent out. And it also has extra tools, which converts it into like a dry vacuum, which we got all the dry bits, all the little tiny bits of leaves and dirt off with the dry vacuum, and then the Spot Wash to properly clean it up.
Yeah, and as a proof of that, we did the exact same thing on some old S3 carpet that we had lying around, which was moldy and dirty, and you can see the 50/50 on screen if you're watching. If not, just imagine a very nice clean carpet.
You've used it on the 911, used it on the Bath. I've used it on my Range Rover. All the Range Rover like headliner and stuff is material, and it gets all marks on it, so I use a Spot Wash I've got at home.
Yeah.
It gets those marks out. Absolutely no problem at all.
The reason it's better than kind of most of your normal vacuum cleaners, it's a mixture of some wet cleaning solution, the Vax cleaning solution, which is very good, which kills all of the germs, and also sucks out all of those very hard to get stains, pulls them straight out.
So again, a massive thank you to Vax for supporting the channel, a product we really, really use, so we definitely recommend it. So make sure you check out the link in the description and use our code CREAM10 for an extra 10% off your order.
Get creaming, boys. For me, this week, I'm going to say it is a rule also. For 3 rules. Nothing to report. There's nothing. My Evo isn't here yet, unfortunately. My Evo we're still waiting for that. Yeah. That is coming on Monday, so we'll see that. And then the week after, but it will be happen by the time you've heard this podcast, the Supercar Secret Driver Meet is happening, and we have been invited. I don't know what miscommunication has happened along the way where someone thinks we're worthy enough of being there.
Yeah, no idea.
Someone's been told a lie. Someone's been told, they're really influential in the supercar world.
Honestly, they're big.
Yeah.
They got a Ferrari, they got a Porsche, they've gone very small, like front engine, slightly mid-engine car.
French.
We've got a mid-engined red car as well, which you see on camera if you're watching. Ferrari.
So yes, we've been invited, and I am both Will and I are incredibly excited.
I went to it once 2 years ago because I was busy in the day for reasons. I only got there right at the end of the day. So this was the year it absolutely hammered down with rain.
I remember that.
Despite that, there's still people going out on track in Zondas and C.R.E.A.M GTs and Formula 1 cars, but I caught the end, and it was just, I remember seeing there was a lorry like a loading, and it was amazing.
Yeah, just a completely normal.
It was a DAF.
Oh my god! That's
not an Iveco, is it? Oh god! I hope that went out on track. Jesus. But they were loading up all of like the supercars and hypercars into the back of this thing. I mean, sadly, my first thought was, Christ, the insurance bill on that must be insane. Because it was like there were F1s, McLaren F1s on there. I was like, just one F1 in a trailer is insurance.
I'm doing 25 on the motorway.
It was like CLK GTR, an Enzo, a McLaren F1, an SLR, and then maybe 5 or 6 other. It was like double or triple stacked. Stunned. And amazing. I saw an F1 start up GTR right in front of me.
So for those of you that don't know, Supercar Driver is essentially like, imagine a car meet, but it is all of the most incredible cars on earth. When I say that, you might think like, oh, okay, there's a Carrera GT or there's something special. No, this is, imagine that one car that you see at every car meet that makes you stunned. It's every one of those cars in the country in one place.
Yeah.
So we might have ordered by now heart rate monitors for Will and I to wear during the video to see what we get most excited about, because it will happen. Yeah. Something will happen. So it's a rule for that reason.
Best thing is it's a secret meet as well. That's why it just feels like that. So right now we know the date, but no one else knows the date. Only if you're going, do you know the date. So we would have been by now.
Turns out it's December.
Yes, so we go there, it's just empty. no one there.
Someone just goes,
we've been pranked. Yeah, but we will have been by then, so we will be absolutely rock solid at this point.
So 3 rules of the week.
3 rules.
Lovely to
it's
see.
Got to be first in a while.
A quick mention before we move on to the news. We've chosen Dirt 3 for behind us because that's another part of my rule. Is we drove recently a Citroen C2 VTS and a Sport KA, and I loved it. I got just as much fun, maybe not just as much fun, nearly as much fun as driving the Corvette, the 700 horsepower Corvette, because they were just fun. And Dave, one of the very kind creamer who saw my post in the Citroen forum and said, yeah, you can drive mine, said, can we get Dirt 3? I said, hey, you know the rules. No one gets requests, but seeing as you're the first person in person to ask at a video shoot, you may have Dirt 3. So again, a reminder, we will not be taking suggestions.
Simply doesn't happen.
William, what are your anecdotes of the week? What have we got?
Do you know what? Ben has been absolutely smashing news.
It's been a long time since I've been on the podcast.
Of course.
It's been so much news.
It's been Ben's misinformation by week.
Yes, welcome back to my misinformation. As everyone is aware, very nice. Everyone is aware. Anything I say, possibly don't listen
used
to.
Against you in a court of law.
Probably, yeah. I don't know. So I think
John,
I'm correct.
Let's find out the news.
Is this
it's the inverted commas news?
This is news provided to you by Angus Berger?
Yeah, no. He's unfortunately retired.
Are you back to talking about your?
I will talk about driving on the podcast.
Oh, okay.
A lot of people upset about that, saying, "No, you got to talk about driving on the podcast," and I will, but I will never mention the motorway
until your next controversy.
Okay, so
you've put in here the Alpine A390.
I don't know.
I
saw it and I thought
I just don't like that.
Now I was fed something on the internet which is possibly untrue.
Okay.
So please, I read that this was the replacement for the A110.
Huh? What the bloody heck?
Now I have since looked into this and I don't think that's true.
No,
but the reason that I put this in there originally was because I read that and I thought that's crazy.
Now lights. Lit up badges like that cannot run. That is teamu.com.
I don't mind it.
That is, whoa, you Alibaba.
I wouldn't do it to my car, but it doesn't, I mean, it's kind of modern.
No, but that's the thing. That's the thing I disagree with.
I quite like it.
It's what is modern? Things that light up. So we'll go with that.
I know. What if the badge lit up? That's well funky.
Also, why is it called an airplane?
The A390. Is that a B?
With a beta, which is a B?
A390.
I love
I'm
Airbuses.
expecting to find that on Flight Radar.
Also, why has it got one of our thumbnail arrows as the arch liner? It's just got a little arrow pointy up bit in the middle of it.
So the shape of it from this angle is like a the convertible VW T-Roc.
Oh, yeah.
And with the black roof, it looks like that. Can you back to the rear photo?
Of course.
That rear light pattern, all I'm seeing is Qashqai. And I could be wrong. Or Duke.
I'm seeing Vulcan.
Vulcan? That's a crazy one.
Now, what is the engine? Do we know? Do you know?
Oh, it's electric.
Okay.
I like that.
The authority
it's electric.
It's electric.
I'm pretty sure it's electric, I read, which is why I was so enraged.
Well, the A390 refers to the 3-motor all-wheel drive system used in the Alpine A390 electric crossover.
3 motors? Just one of the front wheels has one?
400 horsepower and a GTS version with 470.
But it's electric.
But it's lecky.
Don't care. Didn't ask. Plus, you're electric.
But I don't know if I don't know if they're bringing out another sports car, but the A110 is ending production, right?
Right,
we know that.
That's what they are.
That's what I mean. Yeah, exactly. Why don't Renault do that and then Alpine?
I thought the intention was because Renault Sport's not a thing anymore.
Yeah,
right. And I thought that was like, okay, Alpine are now going to do that. But okay.
So here's one for the podcast. Why?
But also, if you look at it from that angle of Renault Sport, what would Renault Sport or Alpine do with the new Megane? Like the old Megane, granted, you might say the same thing. You might look at the big bum Megane and go, well, how are you going to make that cool? They did. But if I look at the new Megane,
crossover now.
Yeah, what are you going to do? How are you going to make that cool? You're not. So it's an L from me.
If only they didn't have a really funky hatchback that looked amazing.
Yeah, and it could maybe have an engine at some point.
Anyway, Ben, you've put in here GR Corolla, not in UK.
Right.
Dash news.
So, can I please, Edwin, request that you pull up a photo of the Focus ST and also the Honda Civic Type R?
Do you know what, Ben?
Here's
one I made earlier.
Wow. I did just ask you about the GR Corolla.
Well, I'll get into this.
Okay. I'm sorry. Didn't know I was catching you this early in the story.
Didn't know you were chill like that.
The hot hatch is in trouble, boys.
Okay. Why's that?
Please, go to the Ford.
Here's a Ford on your screen.
Now, he's not an RS.
Well,
the RS was never made in this generation.
Well done.
Okay, correct.
he's dead.
Okay, that's dead. That's gone.
That's
But we
going.
knew that was going to.
But that's
you
apparently
knew that was going to happen.
You just knew it was going to happen.
But apparently that has now been, I don't know, well, I've read now that it is officially ending this year.
Production has ceased to be.
I think it's later this year, but yeah.
So I may click the tab
So he
and delete
is
him.
gone.
Yes.
Now you think,
Him?
that's fine, I can buy a Civic Type R. That's amazing. That's a great looking car, genuinely.
I don't think you're right tool, but thanks, carry on.
I do. I like the front. I don't like the back.
I like the interior.
I've driven the press car one.
I hate the shape
Have you?
of that. Look at if you just look at the window line, just above the window line, that is a modern Volkswagen Beetle 4-door. That's horrible.
Everything from the front door forwards.
That's
I
cool.
love. I think that's amazing. But
Agreed.
It's someone stopped designing it at the back.
I think that's just a Civic from behind the
Also,
front door.
I want no wing, and I also would like that to be more
No
of
wing?
a saloon type boot with a little duck clip, and that's
So
like,
you want-
but yeah,
an
that's
Accord.
different car.
No, I know. I'm just saying that I
You
like
want an
that
Integra.
design.
You know what I hate
I
about
like it.
the Ford has now gone off the screen, but I'm fairly
you can come back.
sure it's the same.
There he is.
That most of these hatchbacks now are all 5-door only.
Yes, yeah.
Now I might be wrong, and someone goes, well, "Actually, I've got one of 33-door," but that is mostly seen in 5-door.
Yep.
The Mark III RS before that was only 5-door.
Yeah.
Lots of
ST.
RS3s 5-door.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what are you doing?
Now I'm okay with a 5-door if it's a saloon, but a hatchback should have the option of 2-door.
just get it's two doors. Looks better.
Yeah, that is what a hatchback should
Look
be.
how.
I can't imagine that as a 2-door.
No, but I think
All
that's because they just don't sell. Like,
Look
it's
at
too
every
much.
Focus before that.
Yeah, of
All the
course,
fast
of course.
They've always been a 2.
And that's all we'll have to say. on that.
That's all I have to say.
So,
Okay,
so Ben, you're saying the Civic is dead?
So the Civic, no, the Civic's here, right? We see him. No, he's dead. Gone.
Okay.
Ending this year, he's dead. Which I feel like he
But
just came out.
sorry, but that gen is dead, as in
Yes.
they've stopped production. But are they coming out with another?
No, I believe in Europe it is done.
What?
So the Type R is dead in Europe.
Civic Type R is dead in Europe. I think maybe the US still gets it. I read Europe.
Now,
right?
I'd like a VAR from the commenters on Ben's misinformation of the week, whether this is true or not.
Get rid of him off the screen.
off
What
the
are you
screen.
left with? A GR Corolla. Now, I've heard these are good. Okay.
But we don't get them anyway.
And we have good news. They're building them in the UK
But?
to meet demand, but they're not selling them in the UK.
Okay, is it in Swindon?
I don't know that.
Is it the
But it must
EP3
be.
Civic?
Is it the EP3
Classic.
Civic?
But
Now,
it probably wouldn't be because that's a Honda.
for
part,
those, no, I know, but the joke here is that for those of you that don't know, the EP3 Civic, the very cool one that lots of people like, was built in Swindon in the UK. For those of you that don't know, Swindon is a horrible shithole.
Not too far from here.
And I'll stand by that. If you're from Swindon, you know it is. You know your magic roundabout is no place for humans.
We have a secret beef with Swindon.
We do.
Sometimes we get pulled up on it. They go, I'm from Swindon.
We
Sorry,
go,
mate.
you don't know what you house, and it houses a company that Will and I used to work for that was absolutely ridiculous, and it was quite good fun, but,
Yeah,
just,
it's quite good fun.
but just full of idiots.
So Swindon's rough.
So anyway, the Honda Civic Type R was built in Swindon, and they made a very special EP3, a championship white on white EP3, very cool, very nice, and it was Japan only. And they only sold them in Japan, but they built them in Swindon.
So all built in Swindon, so they'd make it in Swindon.
In the UK, send them to Japan,
Yep.
and then UK people go, oh, that's nice, I like that. Can I have one? No. Okay, I'll privately import one back to the UK.
It was more power. Everything was better.
Yeah.
Everything about it. It was the ultimate version of that Type R.
And they
Built in Swindon, but never driven in Swindon.
no.
But haven't you ever just wanted to you're in Swindon, you go, oh, do you know what? Tokyo sounds good. So you head to Tokyo.
Yeah,
and you're in
off I go.
Tokyo and you go, you know what? This isn't
You know what?
Swindon.
I
Off I go back.
I preferred those magic roundabouts.
Exactly, yeah.
So
so that's being built in the UK now, which is quite cool because we don't really build any cars in this country.
But are they, no matter what, apart from Japan, do they do a right-hand drive one of these? Is my question.
I don't know.
Or are
I
they
don't
all
know the
left-hand
answer
drive?
to that, but I know that it's not coming to the UK.
Other news related to this actually is that the GR Yaris may well get, because this is about 300 horsepower, same engine,
Big.
3-cylinder,
Interesting.
but these are about 300, and apparently they may get the Yaris may get that, and even a more powerful one than that.
Japan
cool.
does get the right-hand drive GI Corolla.
Okay, so we could get
So,
on
so,
it.
So
sorry,
it's
so wait.
possible.
So it's being built here. It's
Yeah.
already there's no cost to necessarily bring it over here. It's
But
in
there
this
is-
country.
There's lots of
but-
marketing costs. There's
Of course.
emissions costs.
But in
lots of
terms of like, they can't use the excuse of, wow, like developing it for right-hand drive is difficult.
Can-
because they're making it here as it is, and they already have the design to make it right-hand drive.
Can
So
anyone
make
with
it.
the knowledge tell me that? So, right, they're making it here and it goes to Japan, but let's say you want to import one here. Does it need to go to Japan?
I don't know.
Yes.
Or can you intercept it
No,
halfway?
no, they won't let you do that.
So it has to go to Japan.
Because I have a story. I know this because, well, it's not necessarily the exact same thing, but the Honda Beat has the zebra print seats.
Yeah.
There is one factory who's remanufacturing fabric. It gets made in the UK. It then gets shipped to a man in Japan, and then he sends it to America, and then you buy it from America and it comes here. I said, could I please just go to the factory, which is maybe 45 minutes from where we are right now, and go get it? And they went, no, it has to go to Japan first.
Crazy.
Sorry, what?
It has to have a little holiday first. And then you can have
He's had a tough week, so just if you could let him off.
So we're on some pretty sad
Yeah, so
news.
basically, if you want a hot hatch, hot hatch would be GR Yaris.
Golf GTI.
Yep, your
Golf
staples.
R.
No more Fiesta. Fiesta's gone.
Yep.
There's that BMW. I don't like the way they look, but that one is it
35i?
current 140.
Oh, is it?
No,
it's not 135.
M135. They haven't got
There's a
one.
one-
No,
is
it's
it?
not 140.
I think it's 35 again. They've gone
and
back.
also, aren't they front wheel drive now?
All.
Which is crazy.
I think there's a 4-wheel drive one. It's essentially it's Golf R territory.
M135 is the 2-litre all-wheel drive.
But is it? Well, what's the split on that though?
I don't know that question.
Because the thing is that if you had the previous generation one, F whatever, weren't that they were all rear-wheel drive? Correct?
I think they're an F40.
Whoa.
No,
that's the
a
old one. I
Ferrari.
think
That's a
the old
Ferrari.
one. I don't know. I'm all worn out on the old.
But hang on. But I just think because what the one before was rear-wheel drive.
So this new generation of 1 Series
Yep.
is the only 1 Series that has become front-wheel drive. Every one before it is rear-wheel drive.
And I get you going against the other boys.
Sorry.
However,
Quick caveat for people commenting already. European had 4-wheel drive ones, I know. You can get an X-Drive.
But what I'm saying is that, okay, fine, you're going up against like Golf GTIs and all the other front-wheel drive boys. However, I still feel like it's quite cool to have a little hot hatch that's rear-wheel drive.
Yeah, no.
I think losing that quality makes it
Of
now
course.
just like the other people,
But
whereas before it was a bit unique.
But it's because it's related to the Mini now. It's essentially built on the same platform as the Mini. So it's front-wheel drive. So it's for cost and efficiency and that.
Yeah, but L.
Hey, you know what, Ben? I'll drink to that.
M140i he's cool.
Dingberry maps, bro.
It'll be like again, we said this about many cars, but they will be like Sierra Cosworth type things. In like
Absolutely.
20 years, people will go, I used to have one of them.
Yep.
Just slapped a remap on it and it was 400.
Type in an email.
I did this. They have that same aura attached
Of course,
to them.
yeah.
Where they're very popular now and almost not underrated, but like everyone goes, oh, everyone's got one of those.
And B58 best engine.
Yeah.
I once saw one of those in the middle of a roundabout. Actually being crashed
Doing skid?
Okay,
on Christmas Day.
nice.
Went out for a little Christmas Day drive. Next thing you know.
That is those 1 Series that what people don't normally understand. It's got amazing engine and tuning, but I'm fairly sure everything underneath is very similar to what you'd have in a 120D. M Sport, it's all the same.
That's the guy.
And I think they look good as well.
Yeah.
I like them a lot. There are some.
But again, 3-door. It just looks. You can get them in a 5. I think they are way more popular in 5-door.
Yes.
So you have to find yourself a 3-door.
But
Do you know
3-door's nice.
It's almost like, and people might get all commenty about this. It's almost shooting brake spec like that.
Yeah, I kind of see
I
what
like
you
how
mean.
Have you
it's
seen the M2 front end thing? People do.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yes,
cool.
yes,
people
that's
put
cool.
an
That-
M2 front end, but there is someone who's done the proper. They've put M2 rear lights in as well.
That is cool. Please talk about it.
Well,
and I will find it.
M2 rear lights in that.
No, yeah. So basically, they take
Here you
the
go.
M2 rear lights are slightly different. So it's the M2 front end, which is obviously completely different, wider, whatever else. But then
So
someone did
here's
make
the-
a version with wider rear arches and
So there's the one that's with the rear big arches.
Yeah.
The front looks like, oh, look at that.
or is it a render? I'm thinking of the one with the rear lights.
So essentially for those of you that are listening, it is a previous generation 1 Series, the M140, the rear wheel drive, cool one, but with the front end of an M2 grafted on. Now, Ben, I can see you don't care.
I don't
for
like
it.
that at all.
You're
That
actually
looks-
crazy.
that looks
You
weird.
Have no
The front
taste.
looks great. The rear, from that angle, that rear like wide arch looks very odd.
Are you?
Where's my?
I'm going to say
mad?
something right now.
That's Z3M
I'm gonna say something.
reincarnate.
Right now. That exact car, and this again, people are going to get upset. If that was a 5-door with those arches, that would look cooler.
What
are
the
you
hell?
talk-
What are you
the
talking
Porsche would be
about, Ben?
better.
What the?
What are you talking?
What the hell? What's the what?
That looks weird.
You know what? I miss Richard Porter.
Yeah, you know what? Last week was so peaceful.
But look at how cool it looks. There. No, not that one. That's the original. That
That you're telling me that with a door in it?
The flared arches of the rear. So if
but I saw there was a smidge of regret in Ben's
No, I
face
don't.
there.
I don't actually. It looks weird. Do you know what? I'm going to
Also,
say
for
another
audio listeners right now going,
here you go, Ben.
don't know what's going on.
Sorry, I've just again apologies for this is the downside for the listeners who weren't part of the group of people going show photos. Is that now the audio listeners have to hear us go, ooh, but look at that. So to explain now, this is a 5-door version of that same M2 concept. Benjamin is looking very worried behind the camera because he realises he is wrong.
That looks really quite bad. Okay, all right, do you know what? Fair.
Do you want some good news?
I'm fired.
Yeah, no, well, we can wish. V8 Hemi is back.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, apparently. So they've admitted that they made a mistake, apparently, and it is going to be back in a Ram.
Yeah, so they said they're starting with just the trucks, right?
Yeah, I think so.
It's not in
a Ram 50. It's not till next year. But they said Ram screwed up.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's silence.
It. That's it. Ram screwed up, so they're putting a V8 in it. So
Lovely.
Americans are probably beating their fists in the air and
that would be
probably
quite
drinking beer, and perhaps they'll sort of do some big burnouts in it.
You know the electric Charger?
Yes,
that no one's
Daytona.
Buying? Yes, I think it will be cool in that. I think that's quite a good
agree.
looking car.
And I also, if I'm honest, I think people are going to already start doing that anyway. I reckon there's going to be a lot of people waiting for those Copart ones to pop up. They're going to rip out the whole electronic structure, throw a little LS or a Hemi in there,
a little motor,
and then off you go. Because I'll be honest, I still really like how these look. That's a cool shape. That's a very cool shape. The Charger, when it came back in, what would that be, 2008 or 9? Whatever that first kind of generation was, it was cool, but it was missing something about the old one. I think it's the grille that has no lights, if that makes sense, because the older Chargers have the flip up, the full grille along the front. This is kind of reminiscent of that, and that has that haunch that's just a flat section on top of the rear. That's all. I think it's called the B body.
I think I don't like that this is trying to look like the old one. I like that the previous Charger to this was kind of its own thing. It was like little inspirations, but it wasn't like, oh, hey, this is a red. This is like, I don't know. This could be a Kia or a.
That's
really.
That's a.
The front end's great and that little arch bit, but look at the roof line. And
no, I agree with that. The roof line isn't as. The roof line should be more sharp. It's a little bit swoopy.
It's a regular family looking car, but with sort of Charger bits added.
But imagine now if that had the Hellcat engine and it was a little bit pushed out and he was angry. I'd be on board with that.
Now, to me, that is a futuristic Challenger. The shape is the same.
Yeah, but Challenger and Charger are always going to be a little bit similar looking.
But wasn't the Charger...
Is a 4-door? Well,
yeah,
no,
four-door.
Back in the day it wasn't.
Yeah, I know, but the one from 2010s, that was a 4-door.
Exactly.
So to me, I feel that looks a little bit... I like it, but it looks a little bit more like a modern day Challenger to me.
Yeah.
And I would like it, because is the Challenger coming back at all?
I don't know that.
That's just cool.
Because I forget what it is. I think Americans are going to crucify me for this. I think a Charger is a B body, which is of like they did it in, imagine like how you have Golfs, you have a base chassis and everyone builds a Seat on top of the Golf body. It's
like an MQB.
MQB, exactly like that. The Dodges and the Chryslers of the day had a body, a B body, a C body. I think the Charger that everyone likes is a B body, and then a Challenger is an E body. So they have different sizes, Ben. So the Challenger was a different size to the Charger. The Charger was a much bigger thing. So they technically are different, but nowadays they kind of have a similar.
I do
structure.
like that though.
I like it. I think it's cool.
The reason that the thing that rear section to me is looking more sort of Challenger. The front of it, like across the front wing into the bumper, it droops down too much to be a Challenger. Challenger it just goes straight across. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Whereas that front end, it droops down over the arch too much, and then the front of it's too low. But
nice.
I'm probably making up things.
This is actual car news this week.
This is news.
We're missing all the bullshit.
With almost facts. And there's another piece of news.
Here we go.
Lotus Emira is apparently doing quite well.
Yeah.
So they're bringing out a V6 SE one.
Do you know what?
Which is like a top spec, but they've also brought in a entry level one. It's just called the Turbo.
Oh, like an older Spree Turbo.
Yeah.
That's cool. So here is the new, just the Emira. You know what? I think this is solely successful because of Harry Metcalf. We've talked about this a few times. If you don't know, Harry Metcalf is it's quite funny to call him a YouTuber.
Yeah, he's not. Yeah,
he's not. He is a quintessential gentleman.
Do you know what he is?
He's a man of taste.
He is an influencer.
He's an influencer.
And he's probably one of the best influencers.
And the reason we say that is because if you go into any Harry's garage, he has a very lovely collection of cars. He had a Zonda, he has a Countach, Testarossa, all that sort of stuff. We'd love to have him on as a podcast at some point, but I feel like we may kill him with our absolute bullshit.
Yeah.
He's not a creamer.
Get up and leave.
Yeah, he'd leave. He'd have better things to do, I think, is what he would do. But he has, if you look in the comments of any one of his new car reviews, you'll see people, especially this, when he had an Emira, lots of people in the comments, which that doesn't happen in the TDC comment section, is people going, you know what, Harry, I went out and bought one after you said this, and I love mine. I think it's great. And TDC comments are, I've got a Focus, and I love it. And
you should do a video on it.
And we're like, sick, a Mark I Focus, I like that. Is it a 1.6? That's great, mate.
Yeah.
So very different audiences, but I like the Emira.
Yeah, so there's a turbo one. There was already a turbo SE, so the turbo goes in below that. Turbo's like, use base. Okay. Super base. But I did read, and this is kind of old news at this point, this is probably a month or two old, that they were considering, because obviously I think the V6 in these is quite old. Binning that off.
Which is a Corolla V6. Wait, no.
It's still based on, I think, that Toyota
Then it's the
V6.
Toyota 2GR, which you find in a Camry.
And replacing it with the V8.
Woo!
So that, as in they were like, we're looking into it. It's not definite, but you might get this at Christmas.
If you're good.
If you're very, very good, we might get a V8. But that would be cool. Imagine that chassis, that size car,
be cool.
with a little, with a
McLaren
little V8
V8
type thing. That would be very, very cool.
You know what? I'm on board with that. I like that.
And I like these a lot. I think they're very, very cool.
Also, they sound lovely.
Yeah. I've actually driven one of those as well.
It's crazy. Will's on that new car game.
Yeah. I don't know how.
Flexing on all of us.
Yeah.
It's great.
Are you Harry Metcalf?
I am Harry Metcalf. If you want all of your car news, you go to Ben. You go to Ben. For knowing cars I've driven, you come here.
Yeah. And then
I've driven one of those. What can you tell me about it?
I just talked about wheel specs or Salt and Brunei or something. I don't know.
A long podcast.
That's kind of it for the news, is really like news, but there's a couple of sort of newses.
Yeah.
News that we care about. The Lanzanti Zonda R. Some of you may have many of you have actually sent it to us many, many, many times. A Zonda R driving around the streets of the United Kingdom, absolutely terrorizing the streets.
Just so for those of you that don't know, the Pagani Zonda R is not a road legal vehicle. No. It is essentially a race car that Pagani made to prove that we're serious business. Yeah. We can go crazy. There is a large collector who has lots of Zondas. He has lots of things, and he said, "You know what? Let me bell up the old boys at Lanzante, who we are ultra fans of. Those of you that don't know, they were involved in the racing of McLaren F1s back in the day, and then they turned to the servicing of them, and they will also make, basically, if you have a big enough checkbook, any race car, they'll make it road legal. They'll chuck an MOT test for 50 quid, and they'll say, mate, chuck it through an MOT.
A Vulcan.
Yep.
I'm trying to think of what else there's been.
I'm
sure there's been many, 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 many other things. I'm sure lots of F1 GTRs.
Yeah, F1 GTRs have been converted.
The Vulcan, which had the sort of odd headlights added.
I think P1 GTR as well.
I have just had a thought.
Yes.
Now, if you've seen the Top Gear segment with the Zonda R, it flies around the track, and I'm fairly sure it was the quickest, or at least one of the quickest, and Jeremy struck it off.
Because it
said it's not illegal, won't go over a speed bump. But now,
here it is.
A video idea for the more enabled among us.
Yeah. Perhaps Harry Metcalf.
Send that back around the Top Gear track, and because surely, I don't quite know what the differences are. I mean, but it's quite loud.
Yeah. So there have been lots of videos of this car just driving on the road, and it is biblical.
Yeah.
It is. Please, after you've watched the podcast, go and find. There's a couple of videos online. TFJJ, a classic car spotter, has got lots of videos of it, and it sounds wonderful. I mean, up there. Well, if I'm honest, that and the Huayra are best car noises on earth.
The Huayra R is the finest thing I ever. I mean, it makes me fully erect every single time I hear it. If they're working on a road legal Huayra R, God, I need to know their MOT tester, because he must be deaf.
Dave, mate, have you done the one on the Huayra? Oh, yeah, it's all done. It's all fixed.
The what?
Yeah, it's a pass.
I don't know, mate. It's gone now.
He's got to be both deaf and blind. Yeah, noise test is passed.
There was a video of it chasing a car down a B road.
That's amazing.
And it looks so unbelievable. It is an actual piece of alien spacecraft going down the road. Imagine seeing that in your rearview mirror.
I'd pull off the road.
What the hell is going on?
Even if there was a hedge, I'd just pull into the hedge. I'd just let it pass.
Please.
Please, after you, sir.
In similar kind of news, but even more rare and possibly even more special, there has been revealed a one-of-one 963 RSP, which is a Porsche Le Mans car.
Yes.
So this is built for Roger Penske.
Mr. Penske.
So this is a one-of-one 671 horsepower twin-turbo V8 hybrid. This is a Le Mans car
Yep.
that has been legalized. And again,
that's road legal.
That is now road legal.
That is a road legal car.
Mental.
That is insane.
I love that.
This is, I think I saw Mike Fernie actually mentioned this is like the new like 911 GT1 Stratum version.
Oh yeah,
basically.
yeah, that's basic. Yeah.
This is like one of the first times since that, basically.
Yeah, that there would be a big boy road legal sort of race car thing. Yeah,
just
from Porsche.
How I need to know the process of getting these. How I know they add lights and they do all this stuff, but there must be other areas here and there that are like that can't be road legal.
Do they put that on? Do they put it on? Because that's going to be on slicks.
Yeah.
Do they put it on PS4s to get it through? And like, does it have?
I want to know if I need to know if these people are using a dodgy MOT.
No, because there must just be. There's nothing in the rule book that says the dog can't play basketball. That's an airbud reference.
Zonda, the noise.
Yeah, they must have to put like 70 catalytic converters on it to get it through the MOT.
Yeah.
And then perhaps they get lost on the way home.
But then the noise, surely.
But then, like,
you know what?
Like
What's the plate?
that rear wing?
Well, that's a good point.
What's the plate of that Zonda?
The rear wing. Yeah, that's the thing I'm wondering. Because like
that,
the Zonda,
how is that crash allowed?
But I think that's what they can get it done under type approval, like a. But that actually, sorry, that's not true because
there hasn't been one.
It's not Q, but it's not Q plated, which would be a kit car. These are registered as actual cars.
And
this is very nerdy.
Surely the Zonda wouldn't have MOT history because it's not 3 years old yet, right?
But it has no. But it's older than 3 years old, and it has gone through an MOT, so it has to be on the system.
But isn't it? Yeah, but it wouldn't just say it has an MOT.
If it's a 74 plate, then I think it would.
It's on an 08 plate. So
well, then
whether that is a private
just,
plate or not.
No, if it's just past.
Here we go.
No,
it's a Pagani Zonda R.
Okay.
Pagani Zonda R.
Okay.
It was registered on the 31st of December 2010. Its MOT history. This vehicle hasn't had its first MOT.
Okay. Oh, interesting.
So how does that work?
Now here's something for you.
Is that first MOT due? Unknown.
Now here's something for you. We have this is not strictly. It's not legal, but it's not supposed to happen. We have a way of getting a VIN from a number plate on a car.
Yeah.
Will, could you provide me with this number plate?
It is MY08
model year 08
XXX
XXX. That comes back with a unfindable car. Can't find it. MY08 XXX.
What's going on? What dark arts are at play?
Yeah.
To have got this car on the road.
Now,
who knows something?
Guys, does anybody know anything about anything at all? Let us know.
But my question is it perhaps not a case of MOTs and a case of like, what's the government testing thing where you make a car?
The VOSA or the DVSA?
So that's just showing, obviously, that, it has headlights and that sort of thing. But MOT would be more, is it roadworthy?
But it is now driving on the road with a number plate.
So after 3 years, surely it would then be due an MOT.
But that's only a new car.
This is registered in 2010.
No, because otherwise, any car you import wouldn't ever need an MOT, which is not what happens.
If I put MY08 XXX into the MOT history, nothing comes up. But if I put it on the DVLA vehicle inquiry service thing, I get it's taxed until next March.
Oh, good stuff. Good.
And an MOT that expires November this year.
So that means it has an MOT.
6 litre.
Is that correct?
Are they? Maybe they're smaller.
Also, for those of you wondering, this is actually what TDC, like non-podcast, this is what the workshop sounds like all day.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's Will and I running plates through checkers to get the VIN so that we can get the spec, so that we can check what's happening, so when a car has left the country or not. This is what it sounds like. Ben, you can confirm.
Yeah, with a bit more abuse usually.
Yeah, that's
last V5, February this year. Registered February this year.
Or any previous adverts seen for sale? Should we run a car vertical on it?
We could run a car vertical on it.
That'd be quite funny.
That would be quite funny.
Maybe we'll do that.
We got Lanzanti, mate. This has been a crash.
How many owners have been on this?
I'm getting yellow markers for damage and finance here.
So maybe there is finance on it.
There is. I mean,
next week, maybe we'll run a car vertical on it. So you know what? More dumb stuff on the streets. Yeah. I'm happy about it.
You know what? We've lost some hatchbacks. But the rich folk are back.
As long as those rich folk can drive their cars.
Down the peasants, up the rich. More cars that we'll probably... we may have even seen a couple of those things by now.
Yes, please.
We would have seen a Zonda, 100%.
I will be happy.
If I see a Huayra, just to know,
Ben,
I will.
Just a quick question. One car, top of your head, very quickly. What do you want to see?
Well, not one. I would quite like to see the Holy Trinity all in one place.
That's lovely.
Because
William,
that's
you will see
childhood
that.
me-ish.
I want to see a Huayra. I want to see a McLaren F1.
Yep.
And more importantly than any of those,
Oh, an
and it's
F1,
probably the least special out of those, I want to see a Murcielago. And more importantly than that, I want to hear a Murcielago. And more importantly than that, if the very kind owner would let me sit in it
Yeah.
like a child,
Yeah, that'd be lovely.
I will be over the moon.
I want to be in an F1. If I can sit, I've never sat in an F1. That's it. I want to see an Enzo because Enzos make me happy to see. And I can't remember those. Oh, and I want to see a Zonda F because a Zonda F is my favorite.
Nice.
I would like to see a Koenigsegg.
Oh,
I've never seen one in real life.
You will. I tell you this now. You will.
I would like to see do you know what? I'm going to speak it into existence. I want to see a 1-to-1.
Perhaps very, very possible. You know what? For me, an XXR is a CCX is my favorite.
Or, sorry, I don't know if they've even started deliveries yet. The new CC850.
Is that? Oh, I thought that was still like a one-off. I didn't realize they were.
But
deliveries.
they might. Perhaps they brought.
They had that at Goodwood. I remember. It looks
so
cool.
surely.
Wow,
Sure.
this is the Supercar podcast on TDC.
We've changed.
We
buy
are
one.
just Supercars.
We buy one VX220 and we changed.
We drive one set of C2 and Sport KAs, and all we talk about supercars. Can't believe it.
And that is basically it for news.
Lovely.
Pretty much. Just double checking my list. No, we're all out of news.
Lovely.
All out of news.
What
that
else we
care
got?
about. On our list of stuff to talk about, you have got windy services here, Ben. Can you clear that up? Because I don't.
Why are service stations?
You've been shitting at memory services again.
No, I went to Lee Delamere Services.
Oh, lovely.
On the way home for a nice Greg's for dinner.
Lovely.
Ooh.
Is that
They have one.
Is that a euphemism?
Deluxe dinner.
What was the man named Greg doing?
That's to be confirmed. Because they have a Greg's in the petrol station site, so you can go in quite quickly. Anyway,
okay.
Not interesting.
With the car.
And I walked out of there and I thought, you know what? Why is it that every single service station on planet Earth is the windiest place? There are tornadoes going through every service station.
That's such a great point. That's a very true
Sorry, as
point.
in inside the station.
No, you whopper. The outside.
The car park of...
I'll be honest, it's not something I've noticed.
I know, yeah. Now that I think about it, because I'm always wearing a t-shirt in the car. I don't like wearing a hoodie or something in the car. So I'm cold when I get out. And I always notice that when I'm walking back.
Perhaps it's that...
Is it the cars?
Despite the built-up a bit... I think it must be the location of... Do you know what it is? It's the cars flying past on the motorway.
That's what we were saying, yeah.
Creating a gust.
That's what I'm saying. But like, I could be... Lee Delamere Services, right, is about 5 or 10 miles away from the junction to get off to Bath, right? You get out of the car there, lay by, lovely summer's day. You get at the service station, it's October, there's leaves blowing at your face.
Oh, Ben, how long does it take you to drive to work?
A long time.
I'm going to say it's because most service stations, despite their built-up appearance, will be in the middle of nowhere.
Fair.
You know, service stations aren't backing onto people's houses, not all of them, not motorway ones anyway. That, quite airy, lots of air, doesn't quite know where to be. It's just whooshing along, and then the cars on the motorway
Will the real estate agent?
creating a hurricane,
A gust
of wind, a bluster of wind because they're going both ways. It's just making this absolute dust bowl of wind.
I just don't understand it. And I walked out, I thought it's June. It's a lovely...
People getting blown across the car park.
Yeah, exactly.
Old ladies clinging onto trees.
And then you get on the motorway and it's like, well, what a lovely evening. But that was my thought. That was really what I had.
It's an interesting one.
And I think it's a conspiracy.
I'm going to stop at the services on the way home and just see
It'll be windy.
what it is. I'm going to take.
It'll just be cold.
I'm going to take one of those things that tells you which way the wind is blowing.
Like from an airport?
Yeah.
A big orange thing?
I don't know what that is.
Yes.
One of those hats, those cone hats. Anyway, we talked about that. Edwin has an answer for the coolest learner car.
Yes, you weren't here, but someone who is a friend of the Empire, the Auto Alex Empire,
The Empire
was here, and he asked to not be named and not any identifying marks be given. But he said he has an answer for a little while ago. We talked about what's the coolest learner car. You saw someone in an A8. Was that Ben?
A8, yeah.
Someone saw a A8. He said, "I've got the answer because I saw it when I was growing up." Do you know who Danny Harrison is?
Is that a threat?
That is, it is George Harrison's son.
Who is George Harrison? Is
The
he a
guy
Beetle?
from the Beatles.
Correct.
Right.
And now, do you know what the car is?
Is it a Beetle?
Yeah, Volkswagen.
The 911.
Oh, it's a McLaren F1. So George Harrison quite famously had a McLaren F1, which we mentioned. Well, I can't remember why we mentioned at some point, but he spec'd the colour by bringing in an aubergine.
Nice.
To the specking meeting and said, I want this colour, this aubergine right here, make it this.
That particular one.
And yes, this person who is known to us said, I went to school with Danny Harrison, the son of George Harrison, and one day, around about when they were 17 or 18, the McLaren F1 pulled up. He said, I don't know if he said it jokingly or not, but an L plate was put on it, and he just drove it, and that's the car he learnt to drive in, a McLaren F1. I believe it's chassis 25 or 21, I can't remember, but that
insurance absolutely apoplectic
going,
at that.
Please don't.
You put him in what?
So yes, that's just a quick aside, and we have there's confirmation that this is from the horse's mouth.
More of those, please, in the comments that you've seen. No lies. I want proof. I want solid, hard proof. Not that we have any proof.
No, but we have on good authority.
We have. There's some receipts.
Eyewitnesses are some of the best proof, right?
Of course. So, like when you were followed by a doctor. Sorry, man of the defender. They're not happy about that one.
Not happy about that.
What's the next topic, Will?
Next topic. Something I've put in here is a flight radar for cars. Now, this isn't something that exists. It's something I'd like to exist.
And you know what? You put that comment in because, as we've said before, we just have a chat where you put in a topic for the podcast with no context. And I read it and I went, that's a great idea.
Because I don't know much about planes, but I have an interest in planes. When I hear something that doesn't maybe sound like your average Joe taxi plane just ferrying people to Orlando or something.
Your average Alpine A390.
Yeah, just your average diesel Astra going overhead. I go, I'm going to check flight radar. I can see where he's going.
Yeah.
I can see where he's been. I don't know, maybe you can see speed on there, I think, and their height and everything. I can see absolutely everything.
Yeah, but then you'd have to be like, imagine you're going to like visit your nan.
Yeah.
You'd have to like radio ahead and let her know you're on your way, and then she'd have to like basically tell flight radar.
Man, update the radar.
No,
yeah.
why would I need to do that?
Because that's how flight radar gets the data.
But we're on the ground.
So
you've got a phone. What I want is an app.
Crowdsourced.
And the police cannot have access. They cannot have access. We have to lock any authority out of this.
It says,
I'm
are
not
you
saying
police?
It's a hide for illegal authority.
When you open the app, it says, are you police? And they can't go, can't lie.
You can't. Do you know what? There is a law. There's something in the terms and conditions. You cannot use this.
But what if people just use it to find where cars are so they can steal them? That's the only thing I'm thinking could be an issue.
Yeah,
or just generally stalking people.
Because if I look,
when you start the app up, you have to say,
am I going to
that you're not going to do that?
Am I a baddie? No.
Okay. Are you a villain?
So yeah, because otherwise, if I go on there and it says McLaren F1 is in this house's driveway, I'm going there.
Okay, right then. No, look, it's not perfect. It's just an idea.
We can work those out.
Perhaps it's only on public roads, and then you can turn it off.
Sure.
It turns off, and then just ahead of that, I think where the beacon turns off, there's a massive house with an F1 on the drive.
What you are describing is draggy. Is the draggy box?
But I'm not. But we don't need the performance stats.
But
I just want to know where you are.
That's like
I want to know if I'm at home or I'm in the maybe not in the car. If I'm in the car, I can see you. To be fair, but you're in a hotel. You're at someone's house. We're here for how many times are we here?
And you hear something.
And we go. Remember that one we heard, and it was a Ferrari V8, and we're like, okay, that could have been a 488, but it could have been a California T, or it could have been a Roma, or it could have been any other
McLaren sometimes.
But with a car radar, car autumn radar, we would know that.
I have something that is in this list that connects to that.
Oh,
I was my parents' place. I went to go and visit them, and they near to them, like 5-10 minutes away, is a common common land in the UK. You might call it a park. I don't know in America, but it's big. It's a couple miles long and a couple miles wide. You go and walk your dog there, and I was by the side of it, and I could just hear in the distance, wah, bah, 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 just cars revving and things making noises. Now around this area, there's nothing. There's no roads. I know this well enough. There is nowhere that there could be anything. What there is in the middle of the common is it used to be an RAF base during the war, and there are nuclear bunkers, nuclear silos, which are now used for filming. They used it in the Fast and Furious. Actually, let me pull that out for you, Jamie. And what else did they use it for?
Star Wars.
That's dun. You like that?
I did ask you if you heard the sound of X-wings taking off.
I said all I would have heard is pew, 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 which I hope is what Star Wars guns make the sound of.
It's similar. It's not.
But it's the sequels though, so who cares?
That's a tough one.
That's actually fair.
Completely fair. Which one is it? Which sequel is it? You'll know this, surely.
I think it's some of them, though. It's multiple.
So here you go.
It's a rebel base. And in Andor, anyway.
So if you take a look here, this is in Fast and Furious. There is I haven't actually seen this one. Ben, you have.
I didn't know that was there.
No, I haven't seen this one.
I haven't even seen this one.
That is Greenham Common. So I will show you, which is very near where I grew up. So I will pull this photo up. Apologies. We are not so technologically advanced. Space. Yes, I think so. Here you go. There's another photo. That is Greenham Common. That's just what it looks like. They are nuclear bunkers. Now, I heard the unmistakable sound, because it's a film location, hence why it's just a nature reserve thing that they use for filming. The unmistakable sound of a Subaru Boxer engine sliding around, rally style, and then followed by the unmistakable sound of a turbo BMW inline 6, followed by a dirt bike, followed by a V8 drifting. And I was sat there and I was like, what's that noise? What's that noise? What's that noise? It's all closed off. I can't go and see it. I'm not allowed to work out what it is. I even got a video of in the silence.
You sent me
I showed Will this, and I was like, but listen, this is driving me absolutely crazy. I will play the video.
So it's not like driving experiences, or anything like that.
It's definitely not that.
It's more secret than that.
Well, here's the thing. I got so obsessed by this, I drove to the other side of the common, right up to where the entrance is, and it said, filming going on here, private, you can't come in, and there were guards who wouldn't let me in. So I'm just going to play the video so you can hear. It's 4-cylinder Subaru. But it's all day. For the last week, there have been because I've asked my parents and they've said, yeah, I can still hear it.
So like a chase scene?
It's got to be a chase scene of something. What are they filming? I'm not joking. My girlfriend would have tested this. Every single night I go home to our place and I search Greenham Common filming, past 24 hours news. I'm checking the Instagram location. I'm checking people's stories that are local. I need to know what it is. Not because I care about the movie or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I just need to know what the cars are, man. So
it'd be nice to know if there's cool cars being used in a cool movie.
So this podcast comes out in a little while, but if anybody knows anything about anything at all, please put my soul at ease.
Please get in contact.
Because you know what, Car Radar would have solved this.
Car Radar. I don't know if because it would be all cars.
I could have popped up the map and seen, look on Greenham Common, and there's just a cars doing circles, and clicked on it and would have said Subaru rally car. Doing skids.
And this is his destination.
And he's doing this.
Destination.
So, Ben, I know what you're doing. I know you're looking online to try and see if you can find it.
I was thinking possibly a Facebook group.
Ben, I promise you are. It's me. You know.
Is it Fast and Furious?
Have you checked?
Because they've got a new one next year, right?
It could be. I don't know. I've been looking.
Yeah, Facebook groups like are locals complaining?
I've looked.
Surely.
No one has mentioned it yet.
So everyone's being silent.
Are you having dreams? Are they very vivid?
I played it for you.
You played the tapes.
I have the receipt. It's actually driving me crazy.
We actually do have a number of people, a number of creamers out there who are in the film industry. There's been a number of you who've reached out who film car chases.
Car chases.
You film car chases. You do films stuff. Also, on that same subject, we'd quite like to have someone like that on the podcast.
Yes.
If any of you are ready and willing to come on the podcast and you have stories,
do a barrel
send
roll.
your CV to our email address.
We'll hire
and
you.
we will look at you and go and we'll pick the best.
Send a list of what you filmed.
No, also, I want a CV.
But a CV. Okay, worked in co-op when I was 17.
I'll go, good start.
Yeah. Also, a quick aside: if you are listening and you do know about whatever they're filming on Greenham Common, even if it's super secret, I won't talk about it on the podcast. But please, just for me, can you tell me?
Yeah, can you
I just want to know, man. I just need to know. Sorry. So carry on with that. Was my side on that.
What are we talking about?
Car Radar.
I hate that.
Why would you hate
that? Is like. Have you ever played Watch Dogs?
Yes.
Yeah.
Have you? Not the second one.
Well, the premise is the same, surely.
No, but there's a thing in the second one where when you get enough upgrades, you can basically hack people and nick their money. As you're walking around,
what I'm going for.
Every NPC has with lots of money has a big dollar symbol on their head. That's basically what you're doing. You're going on Flight Radar. Okay, that guy's got his Honda. He's got a Koenigsegg. I'm going to rob him.
There's always going to be someone who's going to ruin it for
Fair.
There's going to ruin it for everyone, but we have to try.
But you're effectively asking everyone who's got loads of cool stuff to be like, can you just let everyone know where all your cool stuff is at all times?
Turn your attention
not at all times.
Also, can you make sure that you they can track you when you're in locations where the police aren't?
Here's how this is going to run.
Okay.
You can set safe spaces. So you can say in this radius from my home or storage, do not track me.
Fair.
But outside of that, I'm on the M25. What are you going to do? Chase me down?
Well, in that case, you're going to be stopping and they're going to come get you anyway.
Also, so is that a Bugatti? Oh, I don't know. Well, yeah, look, car thieves might monitor it. But we'll filter them out.
How?
We'll say at the beginning, are you a car thief? And if they say yes, we won't allow them access.
And then we could make some money off it. I mean, imagine that. The car thieves are going, come on, just give us access.
Oh, come on. And then they turn up to where they think it's a McLaren F1, it's just a Micra.
But also, imagine the absolute chaos. I think also there would have to be filters for what can be on there. Otherwise, you'd have millions.
I kind of like it.
And you get police on that too?
No, like you say they're not allowed.
Like it's Need for Speed. They can be on there. They can be on there, but they have to have their location at all times.
Now, I like that.
You know when you go on Waze and it goes, police up ahead, and it's just a man sat on his phone in a traffic officer car.
Is that what your Waze sounds like?
Yeah, it's Alan Partridge.
There's no fog.
There's no fog.
I like the police thing.
Yeah, and then you can.
You know
what about doctors?
Yeah. Ooh. You know what, Waze, hit us up.
Ben chasing down doctors. I seen you on car radar.
Ben right now filming a podcast gets a pic on his phone. I gotta go. I'm needed.
Someone's attending a heart failure.
It's like the bat signal.
It's just a green light in the sky.
Ben not. It wasn't green, it was yellow. Right. Ben not happy with this.
How long's the joke going to go on for? That's my question.
Quite a while.
Yeah, probably. Well, anyway, what's the next topic, Will? Is it the forum? It's going to be the forum. Getting the forum out.
I just want to go back to that for one moment, if you will.
Okay.
How much do you enjoy the fact that Richard Porter roasted you about that?
I haven't actually heard it yet.
You haven't heard it.
But we told you anecdotally.
You heard it from us.
You told me.
Is that nice?
Richard Porter, mate. Why?
No, actually, we don't have any points.
Also, one other little aside from the Richard Porter podcast is that on the way home, he and I happened to be going the same way. We were both in the Beat, and we drove into the sunset together in Honda Beats, and it was a very surreal and also quite funny thing because I looked in the rearview mirror and I've never realised how tiny that car is, and it's really quite dumb, but quite cool. I liked it.
I have actually thought about this. Is going to sound quite sad, but just having Richard Porter on the podcast and him saying that he listens to our stuff is just crazy.
It's very cool.
He's a man who wrote the stuff that essentially is part of the reason we do this today.
Exactly.
And he's just on the podcast going, I saw a mystery car in Bath.
Help.
Please help. We have no more points left, Ben. Do we have a forum or a carspiracy?
You bet your sweet car tracking app we
way.
do.
Here we go.
We have got an anecdote before the forum, a quick one, from someone on YouTube called Chuck Us For Us.
Right.
Okay. They have said, you've got a fourth type of... Sorry, apologies. Let me just preface this. We've been talking about edging.
Of course.
At traffic lights. For people who don't know what edging is, either look it up or I'll explain.
Don't look up edging. What are you talking about?
It's when you get to a traffic light and it's red and you decide for some unbeknownst reason to anyone normal to edge further, hoping the light will change, but actually you just react the slowest.
We've kind of seen a sentiment in the comments that a good creamer neither edges nor creeps.
And the creepers, not a Minecraft reference, I promise. It is someone who in traffic... when the standstill traffic likes to wait for 1,000 years and creates a huge gap.
I'd like to clear up something about creepers because someone said about creeping, and I understand there's more details when it comes to creeping.
Yeah.
Not all creeping I'm talking about is some people thought it was when you have traffic
that's very slow
and you use the space that you have to just creep forward ever so that you're constantly moving rather than going
that's fine.
Accelerate, stop.
That's
accelerate,
fine.
Stop. That kind of creeping is fine. I wouldn't even put it in the category of creeping.
No.
You're merely operating in traffic like a normal human being.
Of course.
There is no name for it.
You're efficient.
You are just doing driving.
Yeah.
As you should. A creeper is the person who, again, is caused by the edger. The edger at the red light, he is edged forwards over the red line, the white line, and then the person behind that has gone, I have to fill that gap. I have to fill that gap. So they creep. And then the line behind that
has to go forward and forward and forward.
Going. Stand fast.
And that's a
hold
creeper.
Your line. Hold your line.
Now, things that go alongside creeping and edging,
okay.
Perhaps bouncing.
Oh, now can I bounce on it as a friend?
Bouncing is
yes, yes, you can. But you shouldn't bounce.
Okay.
And this is something that I've seen before, and it infuriates me. Right. So Chuckers for Us has said you've got a fourth type of person at the lights too. Bouncers.
Now hold on.
And I'm not talking about ones that beat you up outside a club.
What's the third then?
I don't know, but there's been a fourth.
There's been
the third is throwing it backers.
Okay. Well.
What's a throwing it backer?
They're the people who are just they move back. They roll back.
Oh, the rollback.
Apologies.
People who throw it back also not a fan.
We're edging, we're throwing it back, and we're creeping.
Yeah.
We're now bouncing.
We're bouncing.
So if you are bouncing on that thing, that thing being your clutch pedal,
of course,
they sit at the lights rocking back and forth on the clutch. My mechanical sympathy really kicks in on the hill starts when I see them. And you know what? This infuriates me.
They're sort of they're like a hybrid throw it backer and creeper.
Yeah. They're not letting it. They're not kind of backing up right on it. They're just catching it. They're catching it before they stop. They're teasing it.
Yeah. You're throwing it back, but sort of by doing that, you're then going forward and you're sort of edging a little bit.
Yeah.
But you're a bit of a creep whilst you're doing it.
It's the culmination of all.
Yes.
And the person behind you then doesn't know whether to creep or edge.
Yeah. And they end up throwing it back.
Don't we all?
Actual gibberish. So I thought, you know what? That's a quick little anecdote, and it upsets me.
No, you know what? Good one. If there are any other traffic observations for other types of people that we can add to the roster, perhaps of the first TDC, the first C.R.E.A.M strip club, they can kind of go in.
I saw a bus driver edging. I saw it.
The bus wasn't running.
It was at the.
He was bussing.
The passengers were bussing. The passengers were covering their eyes.
He was sorry, while bussing, he was edging.
But if he's edging, how's he bussing?
No, that's his job to bus.
So his job is to bus. But he was edging.
I saw a bus driver
with children,
and it made me think. I think bus drivers are the worst of the professional. Actually, outside of Uber drivers, they're the worst of the professional drivers for that.
For edging.
For just bad habits in general.
Yeah, truck drivers tend to be very good. I think truck drivers are none of the above.
Yeah, you know when someone is a truck driver, aka they're a truck driver. They always go. It's always like it's my word is the final word.
Yeah,
I drive every day,
so I know better than you.
I know more. And you're not all perfect. I've seen some rough truck driving.
Yeah,
but do you know what? For the most part, you're pretty good.
Also, usually UK-based truck drivers, is that UK-based? Tend to be... Ben's got the giggles. UK-based truck drivers tend to be very good.
Yeah.
If I'm getting cut off, perhaps when you were in the VX220 today when we were on the way back,
yes.
That was I can't remember where that was. Czech.
Was that the truck?
Yeah.
I saw you nearly got into that thing.
Yeah, no, I thought I was done.
Through zero fault of our own, we were doing like 65 in a 70 overtaking, and he just pulled out in front of us. It was wild.
There are some truck drivers really got to. I know they got to do what they got to do.
Do you know what they're doing? They're flashing.
They're bigger than us.
Oh,
they are flashing.
Yeah,
not bus drivers. Truck drivers.
Do you know what? I'll flash someone.
You'll flash them.
I'll get the lights out. I'll get them out.
If they edge too hard, you could flash them.
Because in standstill, flashing doesn't do much.
No, it doesn't.
You can't. Yeah, no one's. If you're edging, if they're edging, they're not noticing.
If you're flashing an edger, you're not going to do much to them.
It's true.
You have to get on the horn,
especially if they're bussing.
Oh god!
But this bus driver I saw was just constantly edging over the light, and I thought you are a professional.
Yeah,
you should not be edging.
Yeah.
You should not be edging because you're a professional. But how many bus drivers pull out on you, or they don't know lane discipline, or oh, Christ. Oh, it's not good. Jesus. Sorry, that one got me really bad. That also was not intentional.
Do you know what bus drivers doing? They're swinging it around.
Big style.
They're swinging it around big style.
They're going wide on you.
That's the one thing I will give a bus driver sometimes is you know what? I'll give it to a bus driver. I was actually trying to make some kind of point about bus drivers. Is that you see a corner and you think they're never making it.
And if you no longer go for a gap.
But they know where the front is at all times.
Yeah.
Okay, shall we have a forum?
I think we should end on a forum.
Yeah, apologies. You know what? Those of you that enjoy that section, I'm glad you really enjoy it. Those of you that don't, I really apologize because it's probably really not funny, but it's quite funny to us.
I don't care. It's hilarious.
Well, what's the focus?
We have got two forums, a quick one and a long one. Why are you laughing?
Nothing.
Okay, fair. Edging once again away.
Composure's lost.
This is from Top IX artist on YouTube.
Top 9 artist.
What do you guys think of clear taillights when they put clear lenses on OEM lights, etc.?
Whack, disgusting. I've never liked it in my life, and I never will.
Perfect. Should we move on?
Yeah, next.
Wonderful. The final forum and the final bit of the podcast will be from a man called Ben Hurley Cook, who DM'd me and said,
not a real name.
Pod question: how do you buy a car? Now, what you do is you actually you see
give
what
them,
you like and you give them money,
and then they give you the property.
Yep, that's it. Yeah.
No, so okay.
Hang on, wait. No, that is actually not the whole.
Oh, okay. I was about to lock in on that one.
How do you buy a car? Is Auto Trader actually good? What about dodgy dealers in industrial estates? Do they ever have a car worth buying, or are you better off looking for private sellers? What do I do? Love you, winky face.
It's actually a relatively good point. I've never actually thought I need a car. There's a car I'd like. I'm going to go to the local car dealer and see if they have it. You're going to search online first. Yeah. I want to know, has anyone done that? Has anyone gone, you know what? I'm going to go and search the local car dealerships and see what they have.
I think if you're in the market for something normal, and when I say normal, I don't mean that
every day.
Put it down. I mean, like, look, you just need a car. My mum needs a car. Yeah. There's probably going to be a local dealer that has a Fiesta, a Corsa, a something that is going to have what they need. So that's fine. Yeah. But as car people, we use every single avenue. Yeah. When we were looking for like this VX220 and the TVR, have I talked about that yet? Anyway, there's a TVR Camaro. I started on eBay, Auto Trader. It depends entirely on the car you're looking at. So you can look at all of them, but you're more likely to find one car from a certain source than you are another, if that makes sense. So take, for instance, the E36. If you go on Auto Trader and you look for an E36, you are going to find the cheapest one being like $4,000, $5,000, and it's still going to be a high mileage kind of shit car. But in your head, you'll be like, oh, okay, so that's where the market is. You go on Facebook, that same car starts at 800 quid. It's got a horrible advert, and it's from a man that you don't trust, and he might take your belongings when you go to see him. But there's a better deal. The bracket of the price of the car moves depending on where you go to look for the car. If you go on Piston Heads, the car's values are much higher. Yeah, it's a certain place. And then equally, one other point I wanted to make: dealers are worth going to on, I think, more expensive cars. If you go and look for £1,000 or a £2,000 car, let's just say that, take those numbers arbitrarily, a dealer is buying that car for cheap, 500 quid. He needs to make money on it.
No, it's to wash X or something.
Yeah, to wash his face on it, he needs to make money. So you will always end up overpaying on a cheap dealer-owned car. If you're looking at something like that Sport KA or the C2 VTS, look private, because then someone's not trying to make the extra buck; they're just trying to sell the car on.
And there are far less benefits. So yeah, this isn't shitting on car dealers or anything. This is more just from a private buyer perspective. Sometimes you are better off going to another private seller because the price is most of the time going to be better, and also that's the owner of the car. They know more about it. It's not just a car that's come in.
Especially, I would say, when it's modified.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah, because when a dealer has got a hold of a modified car, they don't know the history. They don't know this,
and they don't care. That's the main thing. They yes, they'll have a stack of history that says they had a supercharger installed at X, but they don't go, oh yeah, but that's special because I also had the valve train done at the same time, which is key for this mod XYZ.
Yeah, because there's a lot of times with this is talking cheaper cars, and when I say cheaper cars, I'm probably talking sub 5, maybe even sub 10 in some cases, where they're not as, maybe not cheaper, not as new.
Yeah, exactly.
But where like things like a warranty and stuff like that, they matter less. All they're actually doing is adding to the price. A lot of the time, a dealership warranty, you have to read the paperwork.
Yeah, because you don't get much.
Because you don't. Sometimes it's like, oh, I actually have to pay all of this money just to get this to work, and it only works at these garages. It only works at this labor rate. Blah blah blah. But the upside of a dealership is you do have rights.
Of course,
you have absolutely no rights with a private buyer.
Yeah,
you buy a car from a private buyer, and the engine blows up the next day. It doesn't matter if it's your fault, their fault, whoever's fault. You're stuck with it.
You're getting hit with that block button on Facebook.
Yeah, exactly. But with a dealership, it's kind of harsh on the dealership depending on if they knew about it or not. But you have rights. You can go and say, "What the hell? This has happened." It's a bit of a ball ache. One thing I will say about buying cars, wherever you are buying it, is do not be put off by distance.
100% agree.
I've been asked by many, many people before where they go, "I want to buy this type of car," or "I want a car like this." And they will give specifics. They're like, I want this car.
Yeah.
It needs to be this color. It needs to be a 3-door. I want these modifications, and I want it to be this year and whatever else. And you go, okay, cool. And then you see their search, and it's like, oh yeah, but I don't really want to travel more than an hour.
Yeah, you're not getting it. You're not going to get the best car.
I would definitely look further afield. Sometimes you will find the good cars are worth traveling for.
Yeah.
Every now and then you'll get stung, and you'll go and look at a car that's 4 hours away. It's not as advertised. Fine, you've wasted the day, some petrol, but most of the time, I think you'll be better off.
There is, though, an argument for certain areas being avoided. A Bradford car, a Birmingham car, avoidable for good reason. But then equally, if I see a car for sale up in Glasgow or up in Scotland, no disrespect to our creamers in Scotland, our haggis creamers perhaps, if it's a 90s car, I'm worried about the fact that if it's lived most of its life there, it's going to be crusty. There is more rain, more salt, more crap up there. So fair enough if you avoid some, but if it's up in Newcastle, hey, deal with it. Go have a look. If it's the perfect car, do not let distance become a factor.
Yeah. Speak to the owner. I've bought a couple of cars from Birmingham, and actually I'm gonna say it, I would be slightly more put off by Scotland than a Birmingham.
Depending on the car. If it's a 70s, 80s, 90s car, yes.
I think 90% of the time I'm the location would slightly put me off. But if the ad is good and the pictures are good and the car seems good, I'm willing to look past the location.
I would, and one other thing I would say is don't be put off by even the conversation we had with Richard. I don't know if that was on camera or off, but he was like, "No, I'm never buying a car off Facebook Marketplace." Hey, we've bought a lot of good stuff off Facebook Marketplace. There are deals to be had. So if you're looking where to buy a car, your normal ones, your Auto Traders, that sort of stuff. Join an owners group on Facebook.
Owners group's good.
Join a forum. Some people still use them. The Lancer forum, still going. Yeah. M3 cutters, still huge. Loads of stuff gets posted on there. And then in terms of buying it, the thing I will always say, the biggest thing, do not fall in love with the car before you go to look at it. Stay impartial. Otherwise, you will be like me and end up with 11 cars that you love, but they're all shit and broken.
Have a proper look and have a proper think. And also remember, this is something I've been guilty of many times. When you go and look at a car, you don't have to buy it.
Yep. And there are others that will come up.
There'll be others. When you look at a car, and even if you only like it 75%, you think, well, I kind of have to buy it. I'm here now.
Yep.
I have the money. This one kind of is in my category. And then sometimes you will find you'll drive home in it and go,
I should have waited.
And then a week later, the right one comes up. And that will happen. A week later, even if you buy the perfect car, a week later, a better one will come up.
Always.
But that's just the way it is.
Thank you very much for that question, Benjamin. Very good one. Not our Ben, other Ben. Thank you very much for listening. I think this is a good place to end. We will be back next week, as always, at Supercar Driver. We will be filming a podcast there. So see you there with some car noises in the background. And as always, cars rule everything around me.
C.R.E.A.M get the money.
Dollar bill.